Hi. So today we're going to do more with angles and kind of these. Um, we're going to talk about lines and we're going to pull together what we were doing yesterday. So supplementary, the straight line, and complementary, the 90-degree angle. Okay, so we're going to talk about both of those today. And then we're going to add one more. So the first one that we talked about yesterday was something like this. So we can make this a supplementary angle. That means two angles. So here I have two angles, and I'm going to say, all right, this angle right here, angle A, combined with this angle here, okay, maybe this angle here, this angle B, A plus B makes 180. Okay, they sum to 180, and that was supplementary. Okay, just the straight line, that was supplementary. And then we talked a lot about complementary. Complementary are kind of fun. We said, okay, we complement the right. So anytime we have this right angle, then we have a complementary angle. Okay, and it's just when we have two angles, any two angles in here, but the combination of the two angles created a right angle. Okay, so we have this angle here, angle A, this angle here, angle B, and when I combine these two, so this angle A and this angle B, then they sum to 90 degrees, or a right angle. Okay, so we had this right here being supplementary, and this one down here was complementary. And you still need to know that for today's assignment. So you're gonna have to remember these two things. And these pictures get complicated. They get complicated fast, and they even get complicated for the sixth graders because the math is, can you picture what these things are even with other things on the picture? So the math question is can you see this straight line even with other things on the picture? And I'm gonna show you how to do that today. But we add one more, and this one is my favorite because I think this one is really easy to remember. Okay, so the last one that we're going to talk about, and this is the last main concept for this week, we'll be doing more with finding out what these missing angles are, combining them, but it's when we have two straight lines. So the only time we have this situation is when we have two straight lines. And when we combine two straight lines and they intersect, that means they cross, we create vertical angles. And these ones are my favorite because I think, look, doesn't this kind of look like a V right here? Like, look at this part right here. Doesn't that look like a V? Like right there, these two lines. So I kind of thought that that was easy to remember, the vertical angles, because they create this like V and then this upside down V. So the vertical angles are the two opposite angles from two straight lines. So like this right here, angle A and angle B. And instead of like adding to a certain number, when we have vertical angles, you can see like this straight line and this straight line, once they cross, the angle that's created right here and the angle that's created right here, they have a kind of a cool property, and it's that they are equal angles. So whatever the value of this angle is, this angle will be the exact same value. Okay, so right here, if I say this value right here is 80 degrees, right? It almost looks like it's 90. So we're going to say this one's 80 degrees. If this one's 80 degrees, this one opposite is also 80 degrees. And there's one other amazing thing. These two lines right here, you can see the yellow that I made for the V's. It also makes these two sideways V's. Look at this. So these two angles are also opposite angles. This angle and this angle are also opposite angles from two straight lines intersecting. So these two are also vertical angles. Okay, so maybe we'll call this one angle C and angle D. And I wonder if any of you could pause the video and figure out what the value of angle C and angle D is, because they're equal. Okay, these two are equal, but we can find out what these two's values are just from this information. Okay, we have to go back and look at this one right here, that when I have a straight line, okay, so let's make this really bold. When I have a straight line and I add two angles together, right, the total angle is 180 degrees. So now let's come down here and let's look at this for a second. I can have this total angle. So look, this is angle A plus angle D. I can have this total angle, and it's going to sum to something right here, because look, this is a straight line. So if this one is 80, this one would have to be 100 degrees, because 100 plus 80 makes 180. And if this one is 100, this one is also 100, because they're two equal angles created by two intersecting lines. Okay, so really quickly, let's look at today's assignment. Today's assignment is going to look something like this, and I'm going to go through it just so you can also see why it's important to take a picture at the end. When we get it done, it's going to tell us what our score is. And so right here, the question is, can you figure out what angles they're asking you about? Okay, because we can see an angle right here. This angle right here is a right angle. We can see a straight line right here. So that one would be complementary and supplementary. And if there's two straight lines that intersect, that's when we can find vertical angles. And this one's not a straight line that goes all the way through. So we don't have any vertical angles on this picture right here. But it's asking me about this little piece right here and this piece right here. Now this one I can see is 90 degrees, but this one isn't anything. So when I put both of these two together, it's not vertical, it's not supplementary, and it's not complementary. Okay? Yay, we got it right. Okay, so let's pull this down a little bit so you can see better. All right, so let's look at the next question. The next question, let me see if I can make this screen any bigger. It doesn't want to be big enough to see both the question and the answer. Okay, well, here's the question. It says right here, what is the relationship between this angle A and this angle B? Now remember, vertical angles are two lines that intersect that create kind of this V, okay? So we don't have that. We don't have two intersecting lines here, so we don't have vertical angles. Supplementary would be this line right here. So if the two angles was this total line, so it'd have to be both, like this whole thing, and it's not that. That would be supplementary. But complementary, that's when it sums to 90 degrees. And look right here, we can see that it does, because this side's 90. So these two need to sum to 90 as well. And we complement the right. Remember, we complement the right. So if it's a right angle, it's complementary. So let's look at the next one. This one's tricky because it kind of puts us inside this kite, or this this interesting shape right here that's just this quadrilateral, right? But we're just looking at the angles. So again, the math is you have to be able to see past what the picture is and find what the angles are doing. So that's your math question. Can you find what the angles are doing? And look, if we just look at the angles right here, we do have two lines that intersect, two straight lines that intersect. And the angles are opposite those two, so they are vertical angles. So those ones are vertical. Okay, again, the picture's gonna be the question. So all of these lines and angles and oh, it's so much. Let's just look at the angles. That's what our job is. Look, we have angle A and angle B. So the question up here says, what is the relationship between angle A and angle B? So angle A is this angle and angle B is this angle. So when I put them together, so angle A and angle B, notice it makes a straight line. So the straight line means that it is supplementary. Okay? All right. So let's look at this one and just write straight to the angle A and angle B. Angle A is this part, angle B is this part. We don't see the little square that tells us it's 90 degrees, so they're not right angles. They're not two straight lines being opposite each other. And they're not making one straight line, so it's not complementary, not vertical, not supplementary. It's none of the above. Okay, now this one, ooh, this is kind of fun. Look, we have this square shape right here. And it shows us that each corner is 90 degrees. So again, I'm only looking at these angles right here, that when I put them together, angle A and angle B, they make 90 degrees, and that's complementary. So this last one, let's get up here so you can see this picture a little better, because again, sometimes these pictures are the question. My screen doesn't want to go up here so that I can see this whole picture. Okay, so the picture is kind of this pentagon. Okay, so we have this interesting shape, and you can't see the top in the recording. I can see it on my screen, but it doesn't matter because again, we're going to dismiss everything about the picture except for the angles. You're only looking at the angles. So your job is to see angle A and angle B. And angle A and B are created with these two straight lines, and they're opposite each other. So if they're opposite each other and they're both straight, then it becomes vertical. Okay, now this is what you need to do. Once you get to this point and it tells you what you got, you need to take a picture of this so that I can see that you've done it, and then that's what you submit. You can do it on email, you can do it on chat. Some of you are just dragging it onto chat, and I can give you credit for that. Just upload it to the assignment. That's my favorite and the easiest. Also, what I'm wondering about is if those of you say, oh, I don't have a camera to take a picture, your computer will do a screenshot, and that's the easiest. So take a screenshot. If you don't want to do either of those, you need to write down each of the questions, and so I can see what your questions were and what the answer is that you put. All right? Okay, see you guys tomorrow.